Welcome to the Agweek Podcast. I'm Agweek editor Jenny Schlecht. All June, we will feature podcast conversations about agritourism. Today, reporter Jeff Beach talks to Brady Wulf of Clear Springs Cattle Company in Starbuck, Minnesota, about all aspects of the ranch, including an Airbnb that allows the Wulf family to use their views to pay the bills, something they never realized was possible until recent years.
And Brady, why don't you just tell us where we're at, what your operation is kind of all about?
Yeah, so we're Starbuck, Minnesota. We are south of Alexandria. We're in what's called the Glacial Hills. So it's kind of a unique part of Minnesota, as it's a lot more rolling hills and a little less crop ground than you'd think of, say, up in the Red River Valley or down in southern Minnesota where it's a little more flat. So our operation is Clear Springs Cattle Company. We are a Simmental and Sim Angus seed stock operation. We calve about 320 cows a year and then have a yearly bull sale second Friday in February called Bred for Balance. So on the seed stock side of things, we kind of market under the Bred for Balance name, as it's our family and then a couple local families as well as a family from Wisconsin. And then our family also does some crop farming with corn, soybeans, winter wheat, alfalfa, and then I personally own Clear Springs Market, which is a direct marketing that I started in 2020, the fall of 2020, and then we also have an on-farm Airbnb that my mother is kind of the lead person on that as well. My mom is Twyla, and then my dad is Jim, and then my brother Travis is also on the farm with us. He's kind of the guy that specializes in the genetic side of the cattle and grass management. And then my oldest brother Justin and his wife Brittany have a welding shop down by Tracy, so then they're off the farm.
And well, why don't we just start with the name of the farm and why?
Yeah.
One of the things that makes this farm unique?
Yeah, so when we moved over here in 2011, we had to brainstorm a name, and that was something that was a little intimidating, but we came up with Clear Springs Cattle Company because we have a lot of natural flowing springs on the ranch. And I think overall there's about 11 different springs. And so what we were able to do is harness that spring water and be able to water our cattle with really high quality water, and then also be able to have the majority of our tanks, not all of them, but the majority of our water tanks out on pasture to be gravity fed, continuous flowing tanks, so then they'd stay open all winter long.
Gotcha. So that's got to be a little bit one way you might have a competitive advantage over some other operations, just in the labor and
Yeah.
and the and then the power that the resources that it takes to operate pumps.
Yeah, it definitely helps with in the winter. We don't have to worry about waters, but then also we feel like it helps in the genetic side too. We're starting to learn more and more about epigenetics. So when the embryo is in the womb of the cow, that the environment that she's in can actually have an effect on the genetics of the calf. And one of the biggest things, there's two things that we've learned that cattle often lack, and it's salt and good clean water. And having that spring water really gives us an advantage for providing quality fresh water to our cattle so that they can stay healthier. And we've noticed that our cattle will stay healthier. And the previous owner that we bought this ranch from, Mark Frederickson, he always said that too, is that when the cattle were on the spring water, they consumed a lot less mineral. They seemed to need less mineral than if they were on the well water.
And you had kind of another spring pop up on your farm. Is that right?
Yeah, so we had a spring pop up kind of out of nowhere out in the middle of the pasture about 3 years ago. I can't remember exactly when. And we strongly believe it's because of our practices through no-till farming, cover crops, rotational grazing that we have greatly increased the water infiltration on our farm. That has had a role in this spring popping up. But yeah, it's now in the middle of the pasture where it just bubbles out of the ground and runs down the hill.
Gotcha. And tell me just a little bit about your kind of go through your calendar year and what the kind of the life cycle of Clear Springs farm is from year to year?
Yeah, so we, starting in January, we calve about the middle of January. So we'll calve from the middle of January to middle of February, and then in the midst of all that is also our sale prep. Like I said, our bull sale is the second Friday in February, so in the middle of calving season, we're also trying to clean the shop, get all the bleachers in the shop, get all the cattle ready for the sale. So that gets to be a super busy time of year for us, whereas in a lot of our neighbors that are crop farmers are on their vacation to somewhere warm, and we're that's our busy season. That's kind of like our harvest. And then the time of year we're in now, so late May is finally when we're starting to get cattle out to grass. We're done with our AIing program, and we're also done putting in embryos now. And so then all the cows get turned out to grass with a cleanup bull, and then they'll stay on grass all the way through the end of the summer. And then we wean in about August, beginning of August. Then the calves, we'll keep the calves on grass as well and just supplement them on grass for as long as we can. And then once the snow starts flying, the bulls will move to the barn. And then also we'll try to keep our cows out on whether it's grass that was stockpiled. So the last couple of years we've grazed the Minnesota State Park that's right in our backyard late in the fall. And then also we'll try to graze a lot of crop residue, whether that be cover crops after wheat or corn stalks. We'll try to work with neighboring farmers to graze some crop residue as well. Our goal is always to graze our cattle as late as possible. So then oftentimes we're getting our cattle out to Christmas still on corn stalks or dormant pasture. And then also in December timeframe is when we're starting to shoot pictures and videos for the bull sale as well. And so that we try to get all the pictures done before calving starts. So that ends up happening after Thanksgiving, before Christmas.
Gotcha. All right. And you mentioned winter wheat. You've got to be, there's not a lot of winter wheat grown in Minnesota anymore. How did you end up adding winter wheat into your crop rotation? Yeah,
it's something we really liked because what we like to say is a few things. On our row crop farm side of the operation, there's a couple things that we have as a goal. One would be always keep a living root in the soil. And the winter wheat really helps with that. We can take soybeans off and then immediately get winter wheat into the ground. And then another thing is, how can we produce the most amount of forage per acre? Since we are majority cattle, how can we benefit both the cropping side and the cattle side of the operation? And so the winter wheat really fit that mold. It comes with its challenges. We have a little harsher winters than, say, like a western South Dakota, but to me, it seems worth the challenges because we can get our cover crops in a little earlier because the winter wheat's coming off earlier, and we also can keep a living root in the soil. So then we don't have to worry about trying to get out early in April to plant wheat because especially the last couple years here, we've struggled with that in Minnesota, is getting wheat planted early enough.
Yeah, gotcha. And then tell me about your wide row corn.
Yeah, so that's kind of adding on to what we were talking about with the winter wheat. We do wide row corn. So we played with a little bit. A lot of people in our area are 22-inch corn because of sugar beets and because of edible beans. And so there's a lot of 22-inch equipment in our area for whether we're getting somebody to custom combine or custom spray. So we wanted to go 44s. We had talked with people that did 60-inch corn. We felt like maybe that was a little too wide, but we felt like 30 maybe wasn't wide enough. So with the 44s, it really increases our options when it comes to interseeding, or this year we'll be, today I'll be interseeding corn with sorghum just to create a better silage mix for our beef cattle.
All right, so you're kind of the cattle is the base, but you obviously have crop farming to complement that. You're doing your own beef marketing here too, and then because you weren't busy enough, you decided to add an Airbnb. Is that right?
Yeah, yep. So the Airbnb was a good fit because, like I was telling you, we had a farm come up for sale that we own land on all four sides of, and it came with a house on the property. So it wasn't necessarily that we needed the house at the time, but it came with the land around it, and so we made that purchase, and then this will be our third summer with the Airbnb, and we felt like that was a really good transition. Instead of just renting it out on a monthly basis, just like your typical rental property, we decided people want to see the farm. Let's turn this into an Airbnb. And kind of the big spark for us was we hosted Farm Bureau breakfast on the farm on a Labor Day, and we planned on, I think, 600 people, and we had over 1,200 show up. And so that was kind of our aha moment of people want to see the farm. And everybody that drives up our driveway seems to comment on the views we have, because we're kind of up on top of a hill and can see Lake Emily and see across the valley a little bit. And we always say, well, views don't pay the bills. Well, this is a way we can get the views to pay the bills and also get some people exposed to today's agriculture and what ranching looks like today.
You probably move a few stakes that way too, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that went hand in hand with starting Clear Springs Market, because if we were going to have people out for tours, people out to stay overnight on the ranch, we also wanted to offer them a product or something they could take home with them. And so then selling beef and having a walk-in freezer stocked with beef, so that if they came, they could just say, yep, I want 10 pounds of hamburger, rather than having to buy a whole quarter and schedule it out months in advance.
Okay, well, is there anything about the farm? You got a lot of moving parts. Anything that I haven't asked about that I should know about?
Yeah, a couple things. So our bull sale website is breadforbalance.com, and then our Clear Springs Market website is clearspringsmarket.com. Those are kind of the two websites we run through, whether it's on the beef side, selling retail beef, or on the seed stock side with genetics. And then another thing is I'm on Instagram at regenerative.rancher. That's kind of where I try to focus on what we're doing regeneratively, whether it be with the cows and rotational grazing, or just how we do some of the breeding side of things, but then also focus a lot on the crop side with cover crops and interseeding and wide row corn, stuff like that.
You can learn more about the Airbnb by visiting clearspringsmarket.com and clicking on Stay. Thank you for listening to the Agweek Podcast. Please remember to like and subscribe wherever you listen. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can find all of our best work at agweek.com. To support what we do, visit agweek.com/subscribe.
Go beyond the headlines with an Agweek membership. Get in-depth agribusiness reporting, original farm and ranch stories, and fact-based research for the most comprehensive ag news in the upper Midwest. Experienced ag journalists bring you exclusive ag news, insights, and policy updates you won't find anywhere else. Become a member today and get unlimited access to Agweek and Agweek TV.